श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम। श्री सत्यवर दुग्धाब्धे रुत्थिता जगतीतले सुधा श्री सत्य धर्माख्या पावयेत् स्मरतः सतः। A very good morning to everyone. As you all know, your favorite YouTube channel Sathya Raama is bringing the daily dose of Subhashita in English also to reach out those who could not understand Kannada. Every Sunday we will be discussing a commonly asked question which will be in the minds of all of us, and we will not be finding a proper answer for that. So today I have chosen a question. See, normally we always ask, why did the God do like this? If any incident happens, we say God should not have done this, God didn't do proper justice here, God shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done like this. We do not trust him completely. Of course we have faith in God, but sometimes if the incident goes against us, if the consequence is against our will, we directly say that God hasn't done this properly. It is injustice. That comes invariably in our mouth. Now, does that mean that we trust him completely? No. Because what do you mean by trust? The trust is, even if the consequences are against us, even if the heavens fall, if I say that God has done this for my good, God has done this to make me stronger, if I say that, then that is real trust that a devotee can keep on God. There is a beautiful story behind this. There was a king. He had a very close minister. Always the minister used to accompany that king wherever he goes, in war or in any other situation. But the minister had so much trust in God that he would always say, after everything happens, anything if it happens, he would say, it is done for my good, it happened for good. This was his common dialogue. So the princess married a great prince of neighborly state. He said, all is done for good. The king won a war. He said, it happened for good. Everyone accepted it. There was no problem until that. Once what happened, the king for the first time went in a kitchen and was cutting a vegetable. By mistake, he cut his finger. The minister was always with him, and as his nature, he said, everything happens for good. Now that enraged the king. My finger is cut here, it's bleeding heavily, and you are saying that it happened for good. Put him behind the bars, the king said, and he was put behind the bars. After putting him behind the bars also, the minister said, everything happens for good. He had so much trust in God. The king was astonished. He said, he has gone mad. He is behind the bar and still he is saying it is for good. What does that mean now? He didn't understand. A few days rolled. The king went for hunting into the forest. There was a storm. All his guards were, they moved far away. He was alone. Some tribals there caught him. They were giving him as a bali to the goddess they worshipped. Everything was prepared. The king was decorated for bali. The butcher was just going to cut that king into pieces, but then their leaders saw and there was a finger missing. He stopped that. He stopped the ritual and said, only if all the fingers are there, only if he is complete, then only he can be given as a bali. We cannot give a handicapped as a bali. So please leave him, let him go off, he said. Then the king realized, had my finger not been cut, I would have, my whole life would end today. It didn't happen so. The minister said it right. Everything happens for good. So he rushed to the to the prison there. He made the minister to come out. He thanked him. He said, "You were right. You said that everything happens for good. It was truth in my case." But then the king asked one question. Of course, if my finger was not cut, I would have been given as a bali. So that was good for me. It didn't happen. But you were behind the bars for these many days. Then also you said that everything happens for good. How do you justify that? The minister laughed and said, "O king, with whom would you go for hunting always?" "With you," he said. "What does that mean? If I had accompanied you today, your finger was cut, you were handicapped, you were not fit to be given for bali, but I was complete. Had I been there with you, then they would leave you and give me as bali. Then my life would have ended. So since you put me behind the bars, since God made you to put me behind the bars, I am safe today. Now, doesn't that mean that everything happens for good? That also is good for me. I was not there and my life got saved. Isn't it?" the king asked. The minister asked. The king was completely numb. He could not answer. Tears rolled down his eyes and he agreed that God does everything for his good. If that trust is there upon God, then we can achieve anything. A famous poem in English says, "Behind a frowning providence, he hides his smiling face." There is a famous poem called "God Moves in a Mysterious Way." It says, "Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind the frowning providence, he hides his smiling face." Trust him for his grace. We cannot judge the Lord by our very weak senses. Why he does this? Why did he do like this? We cannot judge him. Behind every frowning providence means our situations may be worse. They may be against us. The consequences are very much against us. But he hides a smiling face behind it. He has a good purpose. He wants us to get stronger. He wants something better to happen. Then only he would give us the sorrows. He would give us the troubles. If that trust is there in every devotee, then any situation, any trouble, any sorrow would be easily acceptable. This is what we have to learn. We have to trust the God completely. We have to always say that anything that is happening for our good. If this trust resides in us, then we can win the world. We can win everyone. We can be so happy in our lives that we always will be thanking God for what He has given us. Now this has to be learned. Let us inculcate this value in us. I'll meet you all with a beautiful Subhashita tomorrow. Until that, please keep sharing this as maximum as possible. Thank you. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Ram.